Welcome to Discovering. Tonight, we'll visit with a UP member of the Michigan State University Archery Team.
Out of all the regions, I placed 8th in the nation for the female bow hunter division.
And Kristen takes a look at a variety of new additions to our wildlife. Stick around, that's all tonight, right here on Discovering.
The secret streams that flow beneath the cliffs of colored stone. Forests thick and healthy with birch and pine and oak. Surrounded by the greatest lakes this world has ever known. The black bear's awesome presence as he roams the hills and fields. Call of the timber wolf, the loon's lonesome trill. The eagle soaring high above, the trout lies deep and still. These are what I treasure, the only way I measure feelings that I have for this fine land. There is so much to discover when you're a long-time lover of northern Michigan.
The Michigan State University Archery Team has a long-standing record of success. With multiple team awards and over 35 All-American rankings, the archery team has a history of victory. I met with one of the team's UP members in Menominee.
I got started in archery when I was a freshman in college. I got started when it was the fall of my freshman year. So I was going to school at Michigan State University. I entered the club as an extracurricular activity, just to have something to do. I knew that there was a shooting sports facility at MSU, but didn't realize to what extent, and walked into a state-of-the-art facility with awesome coaches and picked up a bow. They were teaching me how to shoot, other kids in the club, and I kind of just fell in love with it. I didn't really know a lot about archery at first. I grew up in a family of hunters. My dad's a hunter, my cousin, my grandpa, my uncles, and kind of wanted to follow in their footsteps. I haven't hunted in quite a few years, just with school and timing and different things. But always knew I wanted to get my own equipment. I was the kid who brought the Cabela's book to the 7th grade lunchroom because I wanted to find a bow for myself. And so a few years had passed and kind of got more into it once I got to college and knew that I was going to get my own equipment so that I could start competing. I remember the first week of school, I was able to attend like the organizational meeting for the club, and they told me you get to travel across the country and you meet your best friends. Well, 3 years later, that was true, and I was working at the range, and pretty much archery became my whole entire life. I shoot a Hoyt Prevail FX. It's a shorter draw bow. It's a target bow. Most people here in the UP are probably used to hunting bows. This is pretty much the same thing, just a little bit fancier. I'm currently shooting an AE Pro Blade rest, and I hook my arrow or set my arrow right there under my D-loop. My sight, it's an Excel sight, it's all micro adjustable, so I am only moving about a 32nd of an inch when I move this. And I twist it just a little bit. I can take all this off. I can pretty much strip it down to put it away when I'm traveling with it. I have stabilizers on the front and the back. The stabilizers help me to keep my bow straight and steady as I'm shooting. This front bar is 28 inches. This back bar I believe is 10 right now. If I'm shooting open class, I can have a long back end stabilizer. If I'm shooting the bow hunter class, I'm only allowed 12 inches from the point of connection. So this quick disconnect right here, I can just take this off. I would put a 12 inch from this back piece right here to the front of my stabilizer can only be 12 inches. I'm pulling about 38 pounds with this bow. This bow is rated to be 30 to 40 pounds for holding weight for me to pull it back. My riser's aluminum. Both of these bars, I shoot the Onyx bars, so these are carbon. Bows are not adjustable when you get into it in this level. Typically, either a hunting bow, a target bow, they are very specific to the shooter. I'm shorter, I have a shorter draw length. You need to have a good fitting bow. My draw length is about 25 and a half, 26 inches. So the arrows are cut to a length that will fit the bow for me, and I can't pick up my best friend's bow. And she can't pick up mine. Typically, bows are very, very specific to the shooter. My arrows are Easton Carbon 1s for my outdoor arrows. I shoot Easton X23s inside for indoor arrows. These are made out of carbon. I have just a simple arrow. I use boning fletchings and boning wraps with Easton knocks on the top. I shoot a True Ball Abyss Flex. It's a thumb button release. I can use it as a back tension in a way. Typically I use it as a thumb. I make sure that's just clicked like that. Click it in so it's locked in. This little piece will lock in. Hook it right here. And now I'm ready to pull my bow back. One of the most important parts in my target archery setup is my quiver. I have this on 24/7 when I'm at the range. So my arrows sitting here, whether it's my indoors arrows or my outdoor arrows. Shooter towel, just nice to have something to wipe your hands off if they get sweaty or when you get nervous like I do sometimes. Typically when you go to a tournament, you will have different name tags that you put on your quiver. This is my most recent one from when I went to the Vegas shoot here back in February. Typically I keep my Allen wrenches for making adjustments on my bow, arrow lube to keep my arrows so they easily pull out, and I typically keep my peep diameters in my quiver as well. Arrow puller is a must for pulling out stubborn arrows, and I keep a clicker on my quiver. It counts all my arrows, but I use this to keep track of when I'm practicing. Typically what you do with this is it counts how many arrows you have until you get tired. You want to keep track of that in your training and in your mental process. Archery is 95% mental game, 5% talent. On a day that if I'm having a bad day with an outside force, whether it's school, it's work, it's family, it's anything, I can tell you that my archery game probably won't be on point. So I have to really learn how to control my emotions, control my heart rate, control all the different variabilities so that I am doing the same shot process over and over and over again. Michigan State University Archery Team is one of the top teams in the country. There's 80 schools in the collegiate archery program. We have fantastic coaches at the Demmer Center. I got to coach with Glenn Bennett, who is a fantastic coach and has taught me what I know today in archery, and I appreciate all the help he's given me over the years. Personally, I've competed in Newberry, Florida at the Easton Shooting Sports Facility down in Newberry. I have competed in Las Vegas, Nevada. I went and did the 2020 Vegas shoot. That was a huge tournament. I've competed in Ohio, both in Cincinnati and Columbus. Unfortunately, we were supposed to go to California this year, but due to the COVID-19, we weren't able to go shoot at the Olympic Training Facility out in Chula Vista. So yeah, I've competed across the nation. As a team, we host a tournament in Mason, Michigan, down at the Ingham County Fairgrounds. With awesome coaching, I've been able to come home with an all-region medal for the all-region team. I have competed as the female bow hunter for Michigan State, one of them. There's 3 of us girls, and for the 2019 indoor season, I brought home the first place spot for Michigan State for our region in Mason. There's, I want to say, 12 different regions across the United States, and out of all the regions, I placed 8th in the nation for the female bow hunter division, which is based off of collegiate females. The Demmer Center in and of itself is a huge range. We have a 90-meter outdoor range, walking 3D ranges, an indoor 18-meter range, and we also have firearms range. It's kind of cool to say that for a while I was the only UP person on our team. Now we have 2 UPers on the team, so we get to represent the UP across the state of Michigan and share our passion of archery up here as well as down in the Lower Peninsula too. I have been able to travel the country. I've been able to meet new people. I've been able to shoot with professional archers from Italy and all across the nation. It's amazing. It's a sport that anybody can do, whether you're 85 or you're 5 years old. Anybody can do it. Anyone can pick up a bow. I've been able to help instruct kindergartners, and I've been able to help instruct 70-year-olds who do it for their physical therapy. All the different things. Archery is for everybody. You can pick up a bow and find one that fits you. Looking back now today, if I thought back to where I was 5 years ago when I was a freshman in college and that scared little freshman, I would have never said that I would be where I'm at today without archery. I've been able to find my passion. I think my biggest goal right now, besides finding my place in life, is just to open my own range and share my passion of archery. I talk about it all the time, 24/7. My parents laugh at me when I come out in the morning. It's like, oh, I learned this about archery, or this person's doing this, or I'm watching this tournament online. It's amazing. The people you get to meet, the places you get to see. Some of my best friends to this day are kids that I met in college. They're from across the nation. I have friends who are in Lower Michigan, New Jersey, Florida, different places that I still talk to. And we have team dinners and all these different things that I would never trade for the world.
This spring and early summer, I carried my camera around everywhere I went in hopes of catching some great wildlife footage, especially baby wildlife. You must admit, all baby animals are just so darn cute. Mostly, I found birds. One morning, while strolling through the woods, my dad and I stumbled upon some sandhill crane chicks and ducked into the woods to hide from their extremely intimidating parents. Sandhill cranes mate for life. Both mates gather materials and build a nest on the ground in shallow wetland areas. Females usually lay 2 eggs and incubate them for about a month. Young are well developed when they hatch and can stand up and walk shortly after hatching. Young cranes stay with their parents through the migration season for up to 9 to 10 months and venture off on their own the following spring. Probably the easiest baby bird to find is the American robin. Nests full of the familiar robin's egg blue eggs adorn the trees, shrubs, ledges, and porches of every home and yard in the UP. The female robin builds a nest and lays between 3 to 5 eggs, which she incubates for about 11 to 14 days. Baby robins are helpless at birth. For the first 4 days of a nestling's life, both parent birds regurgitate partly digested food into each baby's mouth. By day 5, the nestlings get pieces of earthworms, and soon parents give them whole worms and insects. Robins reach the size of their parents and jump out of the nest after just 2 weeks. These fledglings can't fly very well when they leave the nest. It takes up to 2 more weeks to build up muscles and grow adult feathers to be strong flyers. I learned something else. Baby robins produce fecal sacs. This is poop encased in mucus right after eating. Mama robin either carries the little birdie diaper away from the nest or gobbles it down as a nutritious little snack. Yum. Now you know how a robin's nest stays so clean. These baby birdie diapers are not unique to robins. Fecal sacs are common among songbirds, like bluebirds and orioles. We had our very first oriole visit us this spring. Orioles nest in tall deciduous trees, usually 20 to 30 feet above the ground. Their nest looks like a hanging pouch firmly attached to a branch. Females tightly weave the nest from whatever they can find, and the male sings to defend the nesting territory. Orioles lay 3 to 6 eggs, and females incubate the eggs for 12 to 14 days. Both parents feed the nestlings. Young orioles leave the nest only 12 to 14 days after hatching. There is no shortage of waterfowl in the UP. Spend some time around any body of water and you're sure to see a few species. Canada geese nest on the ground, usually on a muskrat mound or other slightly elevated site near water. Females select the nest site, build the nest, and lay between 2 to 8 eggs. Males guard the nest while the female incubates for about 28 days. Goslings are fluffy and yellowish with a black bill. They leave the nest at 1 to 2 days old, depending on the weather, and can walk, swim, and feed. Young geese often remain with their parents for their entire first year. Mallard ducklings are a common sight on UP lakes. Mallards can build nests on the ground more than 1 mile from water. The female will lay anywhere from 5 to 15 eggs, and they typically hatch in early June. Within a day of hatching, mom will lead her brood to water. Ducklings are tended by mom but feed themselves, mostly aquatic insects. Ducklings can fly around 2 months. One thing I noticed, mallard babies move crazy fast. Our largest native waterfowl is the trumpeter swan. Trumpeter swans do not necessarily mate for life. Pairs remain together throughout the breeding season, but may switch partners the following year. Together, they build nests on beaver dams and muskrat houses. Trumpeter swans incubate the eggs by covering them with their webbed feet. They will hatch as many as 9 babies, called cygnets, between June and July. Both parents look after the cygnets until they are a year old. Though they can swim from birth, cygnets may sometimes ride on their parents' backs. Adult swans are vegetarians, eating stems, leaves, and roots of aquatic plants. But cygnets will eat many insects and other small invertebrates for the first 2 weeks. Young swans fly when they are 3 to 4 months old, just in time to migrate south. I managed to capture one other baby that was not a bird. Probably the most commonly seen and most adorable wildlife babe in the UP is the whitetail fawn. Travel any UP back road this time of year and you're sure to spot at least one. One fawn was even born right in my yard this year. And while I was walking up my road, hoping to spot another newborn fawn, it found me. Whitetail fawns are born around the 1st of June. Does drop their fawns about 6.5 months after conception. Most first-year does will have only one fawn and will typically give birth to twins and sometimes triplets in subsequent years. At birth, whitetail fawns weigh only 6 to 8 pounds. A fawn can stand up and nurse within 30 minutes and walk just a few hours after birth. These twins I filmed though stood up and wobbled away within 30 minutes. Fawns are born with a reddish-brown coat covered in about 300 spots, a natural camouflage that helps them blend in with the dappled pattern of sunlight on the forest floor. From day 1 through the first few weeks of a fawn's life, its mother will hide it and leave it unattended for up to 8 hours at a time. A doe will also hide twins and triplets separately. The doe will return periodically to nurse the fawn. Fawns are born almost odorless, so between no scent and their spotted camouflage, they are more hidden from predators when they are left alone, away from mom. A fawn also knows to stay completely still or lay flat to hide when it senses danger. Fawns are usually weaned at 2 to 3 months. In early fall, a fawn's spots fade away. Female fawns usually stay with their mothers for 2 years. Males leave after a year. Not as common as fawns, but often seen are black bear cubs and red fox kits. Baby fox are called kits or pups. A typical litter is about 4 to 5. At birth, red foxes are actually brown or gray and usually turn red within about a month. Red fox usually live in the forested areas and dig burrows in the ground to create dens in which to live and have their pups. But they also have adapted well to suburban and rural communities.
I've been actually getting a lot of calls on baby foxes actually in urban areas, so it seems to be a bumper crop of foxes out this year. Red foxes are fairly adapted to human presence, so they're not as skittish, and that's why I think we're getting a lot of calls this year. You know, they're perfectly comfortable in that urban interface setting, and they're going to be born probably in the late April, early May. They're going to stay with their mother probably right up until August, September, and then they're going to start venturing further out. As they mature, they're going to become more solitary. They don't actually stay together that long.
And of course, just a reminder, it's always best to leave baby animals alone and keep your distance.
We really ask that you try to leave baby animals alone unless you know for a fact that mom is dead. Then we can try to intervene. But generally, we try to let nature take its course. They're old enough now that they should be able to make it on them, sit by themselves. I know that can be a tough answer sometimes, but really we're doing what's best for that wildlife species.
Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next week right here on Upper Michigan's very own Discovering.